For the Boston Celtics, we saw a ton of roster changes this offseason. They moved off Drew Holiday. They moved off Kristaps Porzingis. Al Horford's not coming back. And the goal was to get under that second apron. They achieved that goal. And what's left is a roster of Jaylen Brown, Derek White, Payton Pritchard. And at your big man position, you've got Tillman, yuck. You've got Luka Garza, ugh, and Namus Keita, and you brought in Chris Boucher. I think that was a great pickup. That was really an under the radar move. You still got Sam Hauser. So you got some shooting and some scoring on this team. And of course, Jayson Tatum's going to recover from that Achilles injury. And the biggest thing I have to wonder about is Joe Mazzulla. As a Celtics fan, I think this is a great opportunity for him to improve as a coach with a roster that isn't as talented. It's a situation where Boston isn't expected to do much. Some people have them winning about 30 games. That's where I'm at. Some people have them win as much as 47 games. And look, either side, I understand. Like, my perspective is you don't have enough big man depth. And I think that's going to destroy them in the regular season. And Jaylen Brown's your number one option. Will be good at times, but also he has habits of turning the ball over. He still struggles with his dribbling. So I'm curious to see if that's going to be the same, or will Jaylen Brown go to another level because now he's the alpha dog this year. That's going to be fun to watch. And you still have Derek White, who could have a all-star level season because Tatum is not there and Porzingis is not there. Drew's not there. So guys like Pritchard's going to get a bigger role. Derek White's going to get a bigger role. And would that be enough for the Celtics to get 40-plus wins? Because if Joe Mazzulla finds a way to get this roster to 45, 47 wins, because it's possible the Eastern Conference is not that good. If they get to that 4th to 6th seed, that is a huge, huge W. As this article says here, Joe Mazzulla improved a year despite extension. I'm glad Boston extended him because you want to have some stability with your coaching situation. But again, you still want to see him get better. You want to see him develop some talent. Look, are all these young guys like Shireman, Jordan Walsh, Amari Williams, are they going to hit, or Hugo Gonzalez? Are these guys going to be rotational pieces in the playoffs? No. But your hope is that Joe Mazzulla gives them some burn and other teams around the league want to take a stab at them. Like with Aaron Nesmith, people forget he didn't have a huge role with the Celtics. Jaylen Brown and Tatum took a lot of those minutes. But what happened was he got enough burn. They moved off of him. They got Malcolm Brogdon with all that, draft capital. And they flipped Brogdon, which turned out to be Drew Holiday. To me, you have to look at the bigger picture. All these players aren't staying here. I know they're still trying to move off Anthony Simons. I don't know if he'll be starting this year. We shall see. But worst case scenario, he walks next season and you free up that cap space. Now you have more money available. The hope is to get in position or close to it going after a championship next season, because you don't want a situation where Tatum comes back in Brown and they have all these young guys and you're trying to rebuild. That's not a good idea, because remember, they're at a point of their career where they're trying to make deep playoff runs. Early in their careers, they could work with young guys and be patient, but the expectations are different because now you'll be, 2 years removed from winning a championship. And the expectation would be, okay, the Celtics got Tatum back. We got Brown and Derek White. Why don't we go make another run? That will be the expectation for next season. So it's very important for Brad Stevens to find ways to move off a guy like Anthony Simons, to monitor other teams' interest in the young guys. Maybe you move off Hugo Gonzalez. I know we've heard a lot of good things about him, but maybe you want to get a more established big man. Maybe you go after Daniel Gafford, where the Dallas Mavericks are loaded with big men right now. They're going to need a guard at some point besides D'Angelo Russell and Kyrie Irving. So that's something to pay attention to. And also Gafford fits the Celtics timeline because Tatum and Brown, right now, Jaylen Brown, he's 28 right now. Tatum is 27. So these guys he'll be 28 when he gets back. Brown will be 29. So they're in the middle of their prime years. You don't want to have a guy who's 19, 20 years old still getting better. And that's great. But Brown and Tatum are like, we're trying to win and make deep playoff runs. They're used to making Eastern Conference Finals runs. As Jaylen Brown said last year after losing to the Knicks, it feels weird not to be in the Eastern Conference Finals. So it's important for Joe Mazzulla to have a good season. I don't think he needs to make a playoff run. Even if they hover around like that 40, 45 win mark, that's a good season in my opinion. And if they get contributions from guys like Luka Garza, again, I'm not expecting much, or Josh Minute, these guys, you're not really seeing a lot of like contributions being made. If he gets the best out of them, or like a Jordan Walsh or Amari Williams, And let's say the Celtics surprise people. Let's say they get to 50 wins with this roster. Now you're like, man, Joe Mazzulla is legit. I don't expect that, but you just never know in the NBA. The Eastern Conference is not that strong. The top teams, in my opinion, that should be contenders is the Cavs and Knicks and the Magic. The Hawks are a sleeper to me, but I think, there's a lot of separation with the Cavs and Knicks. I want to put the Magic there, but experience is going to matter. I have to factor that in. Now, the Magic could make a deep playoff run and surprise people and take that leap. We're going to see if that's the case. However, I think it's the Knicks and Cavs this year, in my opinion. That could change, but that's where I'm at right now. And when it comes to Joe Mazzulla, it's just all about developing guys and getting the best out of your current players. And if he does that and they surprise a lot of folks and they end up like in the 4th seed in the Eastern Conference, big W for Joe Mazzulla. I'm glad they extended him, and I'm excited to see how this team performs. I understand like the expectations aren't that high. We're so used to seeing Boston make deep playoff runs. We've been spoiled the last really 10 seasons. It's been incredible how they've been able to manage this roster, stay competitive. And even when they had Isaiah Thomas, they were making Eastern Conference Finals runs. They got to the ECF with him, and I know they got destroyed by the Cavs. But then what happened? They moved off him, got Kyrie, and they tried that version of the Celtics. Even though it was crazy at the time, it was fun to watch, but they were making ECF runs and they got to the finals in 2022. Yeah, they lost. They bounced back 2 years later and got a championship. Can't ask for anything more. But as of today, when it comes to Brown and Tatum, when they get healthy, let's just say Tatum gets healthy, their expectation is we need to make another run at a championship. If that is not the goal when Tatum gets back, guess what's going to happen? Tatum's going to be frustrated with the organization. So is Jaylen Brown. And now you have a situation where you have disgruntled superstars on your team and star players, and they want to leave. You don't want that situation. So it's important for Brad Stevens to retool this roster. I'm looking at trades under the radar. Remember, when they got Derek White, when he first came to Boston, he was a bench player. He was averaging, I think, like 6-7 points for the Spurs. Not to say he was a bad player, but then when he got an expanded role, we saw Derek White get better. So I know Brad Stevens is looking for those type of players out there and established vets. That's what's going to happen here. You don't want to hang on to young guys where it's like, okay, maybe we keep them, maybe we don't. You want to get proven guys who can help the likes of Tatum, Brown, and White go after another championship. That is the goal. Again, you got to fit their timeline. So for Joe Mazzulla, it's important for him to give these young guys some minutes. That way we can see their potential. And then you trade some of them for more established players. And then when Tatum and Brown get back, when Tatum gets back, you now have a roster with more experience, and you can now tinker with the roster some more to go after another championship. So that's my hope for the Celtics. And I just really am excited to see how Pritchard does this year. And I wonder if they're going to move off Sam Hauser. I know they've been floating him around in trade rumors. And Anthony Simons, when are they going to trade him? Or is he going to walk? Because he's on an expiring deal. But that's attracted to people who want to get under the second apron. So we shall see how this all plays out. Love to hear your thoughts about the Boston Celtics. What is your expectations for them this upcoming season? And for Joe Mazzulla, do you expect them to win more than 40 games? Are you like me? They're going to probably win around 30, get a good draft pick. Love to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.